Good morning. President Donald Trump was sworn in yesterday, and he gave a very interesting inaugural address. Some very important good points, some less good points. And I think any patriotic American will want to do everything they can to ensure that he is successful at attaining his goals, which is to bring peace and unity. Some of his policies will not lead to that, but let's talk about the most important ones and where we really have to mobilize. I'm Diane Sayre. This morning is January 21st. So first of all, Trump said in his speech, and I think this is perhaps the most important flank, the scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end. That is very important because if you don't end that, there's not much else that you can do. For example, he's concerned about the drug cartels and terrorism. Well, who really runs the drug trade? It's not the little guys who are running the drugs. It's Wall Street. It's the CIA. It's a giant mess of weapons trafficking, coups against other governments, dark money, etc. So if we want to end that, then we have to do what Trump is saying. We've got to clean up the intelligence agencies. And again, we've been saying this, but I will say it is of paramount importance that we succeed in getting Tulsi Gabbard confirmed as Director of National Intelligence and Kash Patel confirmed as Director of the FBI. Clearly, outgoing President or former President now, Joe Biden, is very concerned about what will happen to all of those people who covered up for his peculiarly staged arrival in the White House. The 9/11 Commission, for example, including Liz Cheney, all got preemptive pardons, which is a really bizarre idea. Of course, his son and his family members got preemptive pardons. General Mark Milley, some really treacherous people. What are preemptive pardons for? Because they're guilty. They're guilty. They committed terrible crimes against the Republic, and we want people in office who will go after them. I've said it before, and I said it in my letter of introduction to our dossier on the Liars Bureau, but I would ask people to consider what you would tell the parents of a soldier who was killed in Iraq in a war based on lies, or the parents of a soldier who was one of the 22 soldiers to commit suicide every day in this country because our government abused them, abused their goodwill and patriotism to send them into wars based on lies. That is why these nominations must be confirmed. The other thing that President Trump said, which I thought is very important, is his intention to plant an American flag on Mars. It perhaps would have been better if he had been like Kennedy and proposed that this be a joint mission with our friends in China, Russia, India, other spacefaring nations, and perhaps it may well be that way. As people know, he had a very good conversation with Chinese President Xi Jinping and said that while they have their differences, they have a shared mission to make the world a more peaceful place. That is very promising. Trump also brought up the hostage release. He didn't use the word ceasefire. Apparently, the pressure from the Zionist lobby is still absolutely enormous, but it is a ceasefire. And as people know, 3 Israeli hostages were released, returned to their families yesterday. 90 Palestinian prisoners were able to be returned to Gaza. There were supposed to be 600 trucks of desperately needed food and fuel now entering Gaza per day. And we have to ensure that this works. But the other point of intervention of the Larouche Movement must be on the Oasis Plan. How do we get peace in this region? You will not have peace if human beings are forced to live in refugee camps. So we need a full reconstruction of the region based on Lyndon LaRouche's 1975 Oasis Plan. If you were on the International Peace Coalition call last week, you may have heard Scott Ritter and Colonel Wilkerson responding to Helga saying, Trump should go with this. He's a builder. He likes to build new cities, modern buildings, modern infrastructure. And Scott said, yeah, maybe he'll even put his name on it. That's fine. He can name it whatever he wants as long as the Palestinian people agree. But let's get the shovels in the ground. There has to be a human standard of living in the entire region. That's the only way that you are going to get peace. And I would urge people to watch the Oasis Plan video. Now, finally, I'd like to congratulate our German organization of the Larouche Movement. Helga Larouche is the chair of a party, Bürgerrechtsbewegung Solidarität, and they successfully got the signatures needed to place a slate of candidates on the ballot for the upcoming elections, which occur February 23rd in Germany. With the election of Donald Trump, you have a very interesting situation there because the leading CDU presidential candidate, this character Merz, was the European head of BlackRock. Think about that. And now he, of course, wants to send long-range missiles to Ukraine to be used against Russia. Hopefully, President Trump is going to stop that policy. What will Merz do? Is it possible that he could lose? Is it possible that the AfD will outperform all expectations in this election? We are in a revolutionary moment right now in the bankrupt West. And that is why it is imperative that Americans and Europeans revive our interest in the most noble and beautiful ideas of our history. That includes the principles of the American Revolution as an anti-colonial resistance movement. It includes the work of Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz in Germany, Sadi Carnot in France, the Italian Florentine Renaissance, but also the work of Giuseppe Verdi, Beethoven, Bach. We have to remind ourselves that mankind is a beautiful species, and we must bring that into this new paradigm. So please click on the link below to get the LaRouche Organization pamphlet, The Liars Bureau. Call your U.S. senators. Tell them they must confirm Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel. We don't want these liars dictating our policy anymore to the detriment of thousands of Americans and millions of people worldwide. And then please refresh your memory of LaRouche's Oasis Plan. You'll see why that is so important to bring peace to the long-suffering people in the Middle East, particularly the Palestinian population, which deserves justice.